Now I have the pleasure of inviting our third panelist, May Twa, to come on screen. Good evening, May. It's evening in America. It might be morning in Asia, but it's evening in America. May is 20 years old. She has completed her high school and is starting college. May is going to talk to us about her experience of being a girl child, unaccompanied refugee. It is a great privilege for us to have May with us this morning. Girl child refugee or girl child migrant has not surfaced in any of the material that I have seen. May, you are very welcome and the floor is yours. Please unmute your microphone.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to this panel. I would like to share my story with you. My name is May Tue. I'm from Burma, now it's called Myanmar. My story as a refugee began when I was 9 years old. One day, my aunt came from Yangon to my family house in Mandalay. I was on school break between 2nd grade and 3rd grade. She asked my mom if she could take me to Yangon for the school break. As my school was about to start, my mom did not agree. I had never been to Yangon, so I begged my mom to let me go. And my aunt promised that she could bring me back on time. My aunt and I left my home. We stopped at my cousin's house, and my aunt took him as well. The three of us took a bus to Yangon. After 2 or 3 days, my aunt handed me and my cousin to a stranger. They were a young husband and wife. They had a baby, and there was also 2 teenage boys who were not related to them. The couple brought the teenage boys and my cousin and me to Malaysia. I don't remember how we got there or how long it took. I remember that we got to the wife's mom's house late at night. At this moment, my life changed. I became a child labor. The wife's mom made me work for her. The first night, I woke up to a noise. I opened my eyes and I saw 6 or 7 kids holding money and books. I even saw some kids were being beaten by the lady. They were crying. I thought that maybe they had done something wrong. That's why their mom was beating them. I wasn't able to go back to sleep because I missed my family and the kids were crying. In the morning, the lady came over to me and the other kids. She gave each of us books to sell and said that the older kids would show us. I was so confused and scared, so I took the books and I went with her older daughter. She taught me some Malay so I could sell the books. If I forgot the phrase, she could pinch my ears or stomach. If I came back and I have not enough big money, I was being beaten with a rope. This happened almost every day. When you hear this, I'm sure that you can pinpoint that many abuses and human rights violations that can happen to a girl child. For example, not allowing to go to school, bullying, daily physical punishment, and being forced to work. One day, when I came back, my aunt and her daughter were sitting in the house. I was so happy. I thought that she was there to protect me, but I was wrong. My aunt told me that she came to Malaysia because it was unsafe for her to live in Yangon, as my mom had called the police. I was so sad, but what hurt the most is that she watched when I was being beaten in front of her. The police came. The neighbor has called them. Because they heard the kids were crying every night, the police took all of us, the adults and the kids. The adults went to jail, the kids were put into shelter and handed on to UNHCR. UNHCR asked if we have family in Malaysia. This was very confusing. Some of the kids in the shelter were family with the adults who had gone to jail. Some of the kids, like me, were not family. The adults told us non-family members were to say we were family. Luckily, UNHCR knew that we were not a part of the family, and they took us to a new shelter. From there, we were moved to different shelters. UNHCR asked lots of questions, but I would stay very scared and confused. Finally, I got to Ruth Virginia Good Shepherd shelter. I was given a counselor. I met a lot of people who really loved me and cared about me. Slowly, I started being able to trust them and listen to them. Trusting people was really hard for me, but as I grew in trust, I was able to share my story with them and listen to them and tell them that I came from Mandalay. UNHCR looked for my family. A month later, they came back and they say they were not able to find them. Then they gave me two options. First, I could stay in the shelter, continue to do school, homeschooling. UNHCR could continue to look for my family, but with no guarantee that they could find my family. Second, I could go to overseas. I could have a foster family who support me, and I could go to school and get an education. I decided to get on a plane and I go to a new country. I arrived in Seattle, Washington in October 2015. 5 years later, I have graduated high school, started college, and I have lots of dreams for the future. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, May, for sharing your story with us. And what a story of resilience. A 9-year-old girl arriving in a strange country in Malaysia and ending up in the USA. What an achievement to have completed high school and to start college. Thank you again for sharing this with us, because often we don't actually hear what happens as an unaccompanied girl moves across borders, and in your case, across continents, to a country where you don't know the language, to another country where you don't know the language, and your English is so perfect. So thank you very much for being with us, and we will have you back later when we invite Helen to share again. Thank you very much, May.